He was one of the richest men in New York City, untouchable, unshakable, until a barefoot boy appeared out of nowhere and whispered, "I can make your daughter walk again." At first, Ethan Walker thought it was some cruel prank. His daughter Emily had been paralyzed since the crash. No doctor, no specialist, no fortune could fix her. But something about this boy, his eyes, his voice, the way the world seemed to shift around him, made Ethan hesitate. What would you do if a stranger promised the impossible? That one encounter led Ethan into a world of unexplainable miracles, dangerous secrets, and a race against a powerful force that would stop at nothing to control what it couldn't understand. But who was this mysterious boy, and why did he choose them? What you're about to hear is not just a story of healing, it's a story of sacrifice, trust, and the terrifying cost of hope. Watch closely because every detail could be a clue. And by the time we reach the end, one chilling question will remain: was he even human at all? The streets of New York were alive that golden afternoon. Central Park humming with weekend joy. Couples strolled, children played by the fountains, and the smell of roasted chestnuts wafted through the air like a warm memory. But on a quiet bench away from the crowd, Ethan Carter sat frozen in silence. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit, his Rolex glinting in the sun, but his eyes were distant, hollow. Beside him sat his 9-year-old daughter Emily, wrapped in a soft pink coat and strapped into a wheelchair. Her legs, once the source of endless twirls and giggles, now lay lifeless. It had been almost a year since the car crash that shattered her spine and their lives. Since then, Ethan had tried everything. Specialists, experimental therapy, even private consultations overseas. Every time the answer was the same: she will never walk again. Emily never complained, but each day her eyes dimmed a little more. And that was the part Ethan couldn't fix. Just as he was about to speak to her, a small voice broke the stillness. "Sir, I can make your daughter walk again." Startled, Ethan turned. A boy no more than 10 stood a few feet away. He was barefoot, wearing a torn hoodie 2 sizes too big. His face was smudged with dirt, but his eyes burned with something ancient, something unshakable. Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Excuse me, I said I can help her walk again," the boy repeated, calm, steady. As if he were stating a fact, Ethan's first instinct was irritation. Was this some kind of cruel prank? But the boy didn't flinch. "What's your name?" Ethan asked, unsure why he hadn't just told the kid to leave Noah. The boy said, "Noah Walker." Ethan looked around. There were no adults nearby, no cameras, nothing, just this ragged boy who had wandered out of nowhere, making impossible promises. Before Ethan could speak again, Emily stirred beside him, her small hand tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy," she whispered, "I know him." Ethan blinked. "What do you mean?" Emily's voice was barely audible. "He's the boy from my dream, the one who helped me walk." Now Ethan's heart truly skipped. Coincidence, a child's fantasy. But the fear creeping up his spine wasn't the fear of danger, it was the fear of hope. He knelt beside his daughter. "Emily, what dream?" She looked into his eyes. "I saw him in a white place with birds." He took my hand. I stood up. Ethan looked back at the boy. "What are you trying to do?" "Play some trick." Noah shrugged. "You're the one asking." "I just said what's true." "You're 10, Ethan snapped. "What do you know about medicine I don't?" Noah answered. "But I know pain. I know how to hear it." That answer, so strange, so direct, left Ethan speechless. Before he could recover, Noah reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled paper. He handed it to Ethan, who unfolded it slowly. Written in shaky handwriting was a single sentence. "The door opens only when the heart does." "What is this?" Ethan asked. "A poem. A code." Noah said nothing. He just turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd as suddenly as he had appeared. That night Ethan couldn't sleep. The image of Noah haunted him. The boy's words echoed louder than any doctor's diagnosis ever had. What if it wasn't nonsense? What if this was the one thing he hadn't tried? The next morning, Ethan did what any billionaire with unlimited resources would do. He called in favors. He had his team search every missing persons, report every shelter database in New York for a Noah Walker. Nothing, no records, no trace. It was as if the boy didn't exist. That afternoon, Ethan returned to Central Park. Noah was there, sitting on the same bench. "I knew you'd come," he said without even looking up. Ethan sat beside him. "I don't understand what this is." "Are you real?" "I'm real enough to help," Noah replied. "But only if you're ready to see the world differently." "How do I know you're not just a clever street kid trying to hustle me?" Noah smiled faintly. "Then why are you here?" That question hit Ethan like a brick. Why was he there? Because deep down, for the first time in months, he had felt something stirring inside him. Hope, and he didn't want to lose it. Noah stood and extended his hand. "Come with me." "There's someone you need to meet," who Ethan asked. "She knows the way back to what you thought was lost forever." And with that, Noah turned and began walking toward the trees. Ethan looked at his daughter. She was watching with wide eyes, hopeful ones. Would you follow the boy? Would you risk everything for a stranger's promise? We're so sorry to pause the story here, but what happens next will truly shake everything Ethan believed. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Noah is a miracle or something more mysterious? If your child asked you to follow a stranger for a chance at healing, would you risk it? Tell us in the comments and let us know which country you're watching from. And if this story moved you even a little, please tap the like button and share this video with someone who needs hope. Ethan followed the barefoot boy into the shadowed edge of Central Park, pushing his daughter's wheelchair along the winding path. The city's familiar noise began to fade, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. Noah didn't speak. He moved like someone who'd walked these trails 1,000 times, come certain, as if he were guiding them not through a park, but through some invisible threshold. "Where are we going?" Ethan asked, glancing around nervously. "There's nothing out here but trees and dirt." Noah finally stopped. They were standing in front of an old wrought iron gate, half buried in ivy, almost invisible behind a wall of brush. There was no sign, no path leading to it, just a forgotten structure in the middle of Manhattan's chaos. "What is this place?" Ethan asked. Noah ran his hand along the metal bars. "She waits inside." Ethan frowned. "Who the one who opens doors?" Again with the riddles. Ethan was about to push back when Emily whispered, "It's just like my dream." His blood ran cold. "Emily, what did you say?" She pointed to the gate. There was a door, covered in vines, and beyond it a voice calling me. It said my name. Ethan stared at the boy, then at the gate. Is this some kind of elaborate trick? How could she possibly? Before he could finish, the gate creaked open by itself. The wind picked up leaves, spiraling around them like whispers. For a moment, the world stood still. Noah stepped inside. "You can stay out here, or you can find what you came for." Ethan hesitated. He was a man of logic, of data and science. He didn't believe in fate or magic or prophecy, but something inside him, something primal, urged him to move. They crossed the threshold. What they found on the other side was nothing like Ethan expected. A small garden bloomed in a clearing, untouched by time or season. A woman sat in the center, surrounded by white doves and wildflowers. Her eyes closed in meditation. Her skin was pale as snow, but her hair shimmered silver gold in the sunlight. She looked both ancient and ageless. She opened her eyes slowly. "You've brought her." Noah nodded once. Ethan stepped forward, his voice guarded. "Who are you?" "I've been called many things," the woman said softly. "But today I'm just the bridge." "The bridge to what?" "To healing." She looked at Emily. "Would you like to walk again?" Child Emily's eyes welled with tears. "Yes, ma'am," the woman smiled. "Then you must give me something first." "What?" Ethan asked, alarm rising in his throat. "Money, a promise. What do you want?" She turned to him. "Not from you, from her." Emily blinked me. The woman nodded to walk again. "You must let go of what weighs your heart." A silence fell. Then softly Emily whispered, "I forgive the man who hit us." Ethan froze. She had never said those words before. Not once. The woman held out her hand. "Then take your first step." Ethan opened his mouth to object, but before he could speak, Emily slowly placed her hand in the woman's palm. A faint hum filled the air. The birds stopped chirping. The wind paused. And then, as if pulled by an unseen force, Emily stood. No hesitation, no struggle. Just stood. Ethan stumbled backward. No, this can't be. Emily took one shaky step forward, then another. She ran to her father. He dropped to his knees, tears pouring down his face. He clutched her tightly, afraid to let go in case it was all a dream. "How is this possible?" he gasped. The woman looked at him, her voice suddenly heavy, because she believed, and because you chose to follow hope even when reason told you not to. Noah walked toward them, but the price isn't fully paid yet. Ethan's eyes snapped up. "What does that mean?" Noah's expression darkened slightly. "Now that a miracle has been given, others will come looking for it." "What others?" Ethan asked. "Who knows about this place?" The woman stood. "There are those who want to own what cannot be owned. They will come and they will demand the impossible." Ethan felt dread creeping in. "What do you mean, is my daughter in danger?" The woman simply said, "Be ready." And then just like that, the garden began to dissolve. The trees faded, the gate vanished. They were back in the middle of Central Park as if none of it had ever happened. But Emily stood on her own. Passers-by stared confused as the once paralyzed girl now danced barefoot in the grass. And Noah, he was gone. Where had he gone? Was he even real, or was he something else entirely? We're truly sorry to pause here, but the next part of the story will leave you breathless. Now we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think miracles only happen to those who believe, or can they be earned? If someone offered you healing but asked for something deeply personal in return, would you do it? Let us know in the comments and tell us which country you're watching from. And if this story touched you, please like this video and share it with someone who might need to believe again. The miracle had changed everything. Within days, footage of Emily walking through Central Park had gone viral. Doctors called it a medical anomaly. Scientists demanded tests, but Ethan stayed quiet. Not out of fear, out of something deeper. Reverence, perhaps, or protection. He knew the world wouldn't understand what they had seen, but someone had been watching one evening, just as the sun began to set over Manhattan's skyline. A sleek black car pulled up outside the Walker residence. A man in a dark coat stepped out, stern, polished, and oddly cold. His name was Victor Lorne, a corporate executive from an elite medical research conglomerate called Argonetics. He greeted Ethan with a thin smile. "Mr. Walker, quite the miracle, your daughter's recovery." Ethan's stomach dropped. "How do you know about that?" Victor didn't answer. He simply handed Ethan a sleek folder. "Inside is a proposal, generous compensation. All we need is access to the source." "The source?" The boy Noah, Ethan's heart pounded. "He's just a kid." Victor's smile widened. "We both know that's not true." Ethan shook his head. "We don't know what he is, but whatever he's part of, it's not for sale." Victor's tone darkened. "Everything has a price, Mr. Walker. If not yours, then perhaps someone else's." And with that, he left. That night, Ethan barely slept. The next morning, Emily was gone. A note had been left on her bed. "Come to the place where she first stood. Bring the boy." Panic took over. Ethan raced to Central Park, to the iron gate hidden behind the brush. It was still there, just as Noah had shown him, but this time Noah was already waiting, silent, pale. "I knew this would happen," he said. "Where is she?" Ethan demanded. "They've taken her to where." Noah looked away. To the ashes, Ethan stared. "What does that mean?" Noah took a deep breath. "There's a place beneath the city. Forgotten tunnels burned in a fire long ago. That's where they built their lab. That's where she is. Then take me there." Noah hesitated. "If we go, there may be no coming back." Ethan didn't blink. "She's my daughter." That answer was enough. They entered the tunnels through an old maintenance shaft in a quiet alley. Darkness swallowed them. The air was damp, metallic, laced with the stench of rust and secrets. After hours of navigating winding passages, they reached a steel door marked with the Argonetics insignia. Inside was a sterile chamber, cold and white like death in disguise. Emily sat on a platform surrounded by scientists and blinking machines. Her eyes locked on Ethan's dad. He charged forward, but Victor blocked his path. "She's not yours anymore." Ethan clenched his fists. Let her go. She's the key, Victor said calmly. With her cells in the boy's blood, we can recreate the phenomenon. We can heal the world. Ethan looked around, saw the hungry eyes of researchers who had long since traded humanity for ambition. You don't want to heal the world, you want to own it. Noah stepped forward. You don't understand what you're touching? Victor turned to him. And what are you, boy? An angel, a freak of nature? I'm what comes after faith is lost, Noah said quietly. But I won't let you take her. Suddenly the lights flickered, the machine sparked, the air pulsed, Noah's eyes glowed faintly, and in an instant the entire lab shook. Glass shattered, alarms blared, the scientists fled. Victor reached for a control panel, but it burst into flames. Ethan grabbed Emily and ran. Behind them, Noah stood in the center of the chaos, hands raised, light pouring from his palms, a force too pure for wires and steel. Go, he shouted. She is meant for love, not experiments. The tunnel collapsed behind them, and just like that, Noah was gone. Ethan and Emily emerged from the ashes. The story made headlines. The public demanded answers. Argonetics denied everything, claiming it had been a staged hoax. But Ethan didn't care. He had his daughter back. And more than that, he had something he hadn't felt in years. Faith not in science, not in miracles, in human choice, in the love between a father and his child, and sometimes in the mysterious strangers who appear when we need them most. To this day, people still whisper about a barefoot boy seen near hidden gardens. They say he only appears to the broken, the grieving, the lost. But maybe the question isn't who he was. Maybe the real question is, what would you have done if you were in Ethan's place? We're sorry to stop the story here, but we'd love to hear from you. Do you believe true healing comes from science or from something deeper, something we can't measure? What do you think Noah really was, a guardian angel, a gifted child, or something even more mysterious? Tell us in the comments and let us know what country you're watching from. If this story moved you, please like, share, and send it to someone who still believes in second chances. And finally, what did you think of the story overall? Comment no 1 if you didn't like it, no 2 if it felt okay, or no 3 if it truly touched your heart.